Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. Time for another vinyl update. So let's just kind of jump in. Got a bit to show here. Um, this first one I picked up online. Just an all-time favorite of mine. Somebody on the Facebook site had this. No, sorry, one of the Facebook sale pages had this for a decent price, so I grabbed it. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more played than I wanted, but still, it's in great condition. Sounds good. It's definitely an upgrade, and just one of the all time great early, really early metal albums. This came out, I want to say 70 or 71. I can't remember off the top of my head, but right around the same time as Black Sabbath, and every bit just as good. Deep Purple just doesn't get enough credit for how good they were and how heavy they were early on. And I mean, Child in Time is one of the best songs of the 70s. Killer pickup, though. Pretty happy with it. Another early hard rock band that people aren't familiar with their hard rock stuff. This one, I prefer the earlier stuff. The stuff they did in the 80s was pretty awesome. Don't get me wrong. And they made millions upon millions of dollars in the 80s. But their 70s stuff is a little heavier. It's got that 70s hard rock feel. With Rolly on vocals. We've got Journey. This one is Look into the Future. I really like these first few Journey albums. They're really the only ones I listen to. Then once Steve Perry entered the band, I mean, I grew up with that stuff. When the 80s Journey stuff comes on, I sing along to it too. But for my money, I prefer they kind of like Styx. Styx is the same way. That early Wooden Nickel stuff from Styx is so good, and just doesn't get any love. This is the only Death album that I was missing. This is one of the 2018 pressings, a deluxe edition, but this is Individual Thought Patterns. I don't know why I didn't have this one on vinyl. It was the only one I didn't. It's one of my favorites. The cool thing about this one is it's got a second disc with Live in Germany from '93, so from that era, and just a killer all around grab. I just saw that these were still on Facebook for like $22-23. So if you can grab one of these, I highly recommend it. I don't remember if this was the anniversary edition. I want to say it was, but definitely a must-have. This one was one that Kevin sent me. Thanks, Kevin. I don't remember if I showed this already or not. But if not, killer album from a band. This was an 80s band that kind of disappeared and came back with a vengeance with this album. This is Siren, Back from the Dead, a very apt title. The only downside or the only bad thing I have to say is it starts off with the song S-Blade Serenade. I don't know why they just didn't say Switchblade Serenade. I mean, that's what they're talking about. I get it. There's a bunch of songs. A bunch of covers of the original Switchblade Serenade. Singing S-Blade Serenade just sounds silly to me. That's the only downside I have to this album, though. And even that song is really good. And in my head, I kind of sing Switchblade Serenade, and it makes more sense. But just a killer album. Highly recommend picking this one up. I'll definitely be looking for their 80s albums, because I've actually never heard them. Next up. So, if not for the fact that I'm friends with one of the guys in the band, I never would have bought this. I've never owned any of the albums from Seether, another huge band from the late 90s and from the 2000s. Still, I mean, they're still doing stadium tours with other big bands. I'm friends with their new guitarist, and I basically bought this to support him. And I think I feel the same way about Seether that I always have. Their heavier stuff I really like, but they always do some softer, more melodic alternative stuff. That's just not for me. I feel the same way about this album. This is a good album. The heavy songs on here, I absolutely love, and those are definitely my favorites. But this is the new album. I've also got got hooked up with a signed copy as well. But if you like any of the older Seether albums, I recommend picking up this one too. The best songs on here, Dead and Gone, was it Liar, Beg? There was one more that I really dug. Still, If you were into any of the earlier Seether albums, I recommend picking this one up. If you weren't, then it's probably not for you. I really dig it. I've spun it quite a bit. I just kind of, I've got a CD copy. I just kind of skip through the two or three softer songs that just don't do it for me. The heavier songs are very much in the vein of they were definitely followers of Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, and they've got a little bit of that sludginess to their sound. And again, I really like that stuff. It's just the more melodic stuff, the Creed type stuff that they do that I'm not a fan of. So the new Seether. So this one I go back and forth with. I'm not a fan of the singer. Not to say that I don't like her voice. I'm not a fan of her. She does the what's the, I can't think of the website. She does album reviews. And I find that I completely disagree with all of her reviews. She puts down a lot of bands that she follows in the footsteps of, and that she wouldn't be playing this type of music without, which I have a problem with. But that being said, this album is really killer. I like the band more than I like her. Her vocals did grow on me. I didn't like them the first time I heard them, and by about the third listen, I was really digging them. A lot of people made this one of their top 5 albums of last year. I could see that. I'd probably put it a little higher. It probably would have been in my top 20. Musically, the band is fantastic. Her vocals, they're really good. Like I said, I didn't like them at first, and I know in the back of my head it may be because of the bias, because I'm not a fan of her and her reviews. But that being said, I do highly recommend grabbing this. I believe it just got repressed again. They sold out really fast last year. They have a new EP or mini album. I don't know what they call it from this year. Sold out really fast as well. I think it's in its second or third pressing. So if you can get these, grab them. If you're into the new wave of traditional metal, definitely worth picking up. Next up, this year's new release from Sodom, one of my favorites. It seems like I don't do a video anymore without at least showing one Sodom album. This is Out of the Frontline Trench. It is a 5-song EP. So you've got Genesis 19, Down on Your Knees, and Out of the Frontline Trench, from which at least one of those is from their upcoming album. Killer re-recording of Agent Orange, and then Baum and Hagel live. Fantastic EP. Sodom just doesn't put out anything bad. I mean, all of their stuff just blows me away. So there you go with Sodom. Next up, this is one of the most anticipated albums for me. Both of their previous albums have been my number one album of the year that they were released in, which says a lot, especially for a new wave of traditional metal band when their first album came out. That both years that they've released albums, there have been some amazing albums that year, and they topped them all. This one is not as good as the last two, but I would still say it's definitely going to be in my top 10 for the year. But this is Infidel from Ambush. Fantastic album. Fantastic band. There's just a couple of songs on here that I don't like as much. And I'm not saying I don't like those songs. They're both good songs, like the song Hellbiter, which I believe was their first, it was definitely one of their singles. I believe it was their first single. It's actually one of my least favorite songs on here, and it's got a nice hook. Something just doesn't hit right with me on it, but still, fantastic band, fantastic album. Highly, highly recommend picking this one up. And let's see where we at. 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll finish this one off with one more. Let's go ahead and finish it up with Haunt. Burst into demos. So this is the demos from their debut album. I was reading up about it. What Trevor Church said was they released this. Then one of the guys in the band they recorded these demos. One of the guys in the band got really sick. And they just kind of sat. They ended up re-recording and then releasing these later. Fantastic album. The big difference between this and the album that was released is basically the solos. most of this sounds almost exactly the same. And actually, I didn't even notice that the solos were different until he pointed it out. And then I went back and listened to their debut and then listened to this right after each other, and you notice it. But if you're a huge Haunt fan like I am and you have to have everything that they've released, I would recommend buying this. If you're not, stick with their debut. You know, it's just one of those. I really enjoy it. If you're not that much into the band, it's basically just another version of their debut album. That's it, guys. Wanted to keep this one short and sweet. I hope everybody's good. Take care, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye.